Whether you know it or not, you are so strong. That's my message to you today. You are strong. One thing that I hate to hear is a born-again believer talking in fear. I can't stand to hear a faith walker or someone who knows to live by faith. I hate to hear them talking about God in a good way, and then all of a sudden you get a hint of doubt. All of a sudden you get just a hint of fear. All of a sudden, out of a good conversation comes just a pinch of weakness. I hate to hear that. You can be in church and somebody can be praying a good prayer, and then all of a sudden they say something that has a hint of weakness in it. But we're not weak people. We are strong. You are strong. I can't stand to hear a song, a good song, a song that edifies, a song that's talking about good things, and then all of a sudden there's a bridge or there's a second or third verse and there's a hint of weakness. I hate it, because this little hint of weakness usually goes unnoticed. It goes unnoticed by the person who is saying it, and a lot of times it goes unnoticed by the person who is hearing it. So overall, you end up coming away with more weakness than you do strength. You end up coming away with more doubt than you do power, more doubt than faith. I've even heard preachers preach messages, and it's a message that can help everybody. But then all of a sudden, they say something or they put something a certain way that spreads a pinch of weakness, that spreads a little hint of doubt, and I hate it. But one thing I know about people on this earth, one thing I know about people in most of these churches, is that people who live in doubt, they hate people who live by faith. People who like weakness, they hate to hear you talking strong. People who are ignorant, they hate to hear you speaking wisdom. But we have to make sure that we remain in faith because we are strong. We have to make sure that we don't let doubt come in because we are strong. We have to make sure that we don't live our lives from a point of weakness because we are strong. God's true believers, God's obedient faith walkers, we are some strong people. The scripture says that nothing is impossible unto us. But see, it's a sign of weakness to hear somebody always talk about nothing being impossible for God, but they don't want to discuss how nothing is impossible for us. See, that's a sign of weakness, but it goes unnoticed. We know God can do anything, but what about the part where God says, nothing will be impossible for us. When you study the scriptures, you see all kind of scriptures that talks about us being strong. It talks about the things that we will do when we live by faith. You don't see hints of weakness in the people of God when you study scripture. You don't see hints of weakness in the scriptures when God describes his people. You see strength, you see power, you see faith, you see all things being possible. But then you talk to people who are supposed to be God's people, and that's when you start to hear a little bit of doubt. That's when you start to hear a little bit of weakness. But be strong because you are strong. In the scriptures, there's a statement that says, let the weak say I'm strong. Let the weak say I'm strong. You know why it's so many weak saints, so many weak believers, so many weak church folks? It's because they never patterned their lives after God's system, and they have not learned to control their lives by what comes out of their mouth. Let the weak say, I'm strong. When was the last time you spoke that you were strong? Well, that's why you're weak. When was the last time that you spoke that you are healed? Well, that's why you're sick. When was the last time you spoke that you are rich? Well, that's why you're broke. When was the last time you spoke that all is well? Well, that's why all hell is breaking loose in your life. When was the last time you spoke that you were strong in mind? Well, that's why you're going through in your mind. There are so many weak church folks and so many weak believers because you have not said what you need to be saying. It's good that you go to church, but what are you saying? It's good that you give the offering, you give the tithe, but what are you saying? It's good that you like to run around and praise. It's good that you lead worship. It's good that you can pray the house down. But what are you saying? The people of God are strong people. So if you look at your life and you examine yourself and you don't see strength, or you're not living a life of power, you might want to check and make sure you belong to God. You might want to check to make sure you're living your life according to the righteousness that is of faith. You might want to check yourself and make sure you are in the faith. Because faith walkers are some strong people. Because faith walkers are not weak. Because God's people are strong. God's true believing, obedient faith walkers, it's just some stuff we ain't putting up with. God's true believing, obedient faith walkers, it's just some stuff we not taking off the devil. It's just some stuff we're not going to be satisfied with. It's just some things going on in our mind, we're not accepting that. It's just some things going on in our finances, we're not taking that. We're not about to be satisfied with anything short of what the scripture says about us. If you are picking up everything the devil is putting down, you are not God's true believer. If you're always somewhere crying about something, you are not God's true believer. If you always being done wrong by somebody, you are not God's true believer. If you're always running into problems and you don't know what to do, you are not God's true believer. We have accepted this mess off of so-called saints. We have accepted this mess for years off of so-called faith walkers. That's why if you look in the church, in a lot of churches, the stuff that you see and the stuff that you hear, it just don't line up with scripture as it relates to a believer. If you're a true believer, a true faith walker, you know that we as God's people have the power to heal our own bodies. We have the power to lay hands on the sick and have them recover. So I have to ask, why is it that in most churches today, you got a sick and shut-in list? What is a sick and shut-in list when we have healing power? See, that's a sign of weakness. Then you hear songs like, when I'm sick and I can't get well. Wait a minute. What is sick and can't get well? Sounds like a hint of weakness to me. I'm climbing up the rough side of the mountain. Wait a minute. Where is the power to speak to the mountain and tell the mountain what to do and it should obey you? Sounds like a sign of weakness to me. So I'm saying, get in God's system and live your life according to faith. Stop thinking that you have to be down and out when you're living for God. Stop thinking that you can't be on top. Stop thinking that you can't have things. Stop thinking that you can't run your own business. Stop thinking that you always need to be borrowing money and you can't just have money. Stop thinking that your needs can't be met. Stop thinking that you can't live the life that the Bible declares we should live. All of that is a sign of weakness. I know you see all of that from most church people, but it's not right. The truth is, you are strong.